Telling me we are live. You are live. We are here. Bono stuff with Richard Symister. I don't know why you have Symister twice. Is that intentional?
It's important so people remember my name.
Yes. I hear you have to repeat things 7 times in
Better than
today's
couscous.
Couscous. Got a little Mos Def in the background from Brooklyn. One of my favorite artists. Richard requested Umi Says, which makes me think of Uni. And if you haven't had uni in Santa Barbara, highly recommend it. People don't seem to like uni though. You know, have you ever had uni, Richard?
I have not. The eel?
No. Uni is sea urchin.
No.
Anyway. So for those not familiar, I've had Richard on here before at least once, possibly twice. I don't remember. This is episode 69, I believe, of Bono Stuff, my little podcast here, and love to dive into a few different things around our lovely shared profession of physical therapy. Introducing Richard a little bit for those who are not familiar, owns Move Evolution, or Move Evolution, as I like to joke, because it's one word. Move Evolution, which, you know, we get along really well because we agree on a lot of these same concepts. Heal, move, evolve is just such a great catchphrase, or I don't know if you have a different name for it, but heal, move, evolve. It's so awesome. You know, I've been jealous that you've had that for so long, because it just resonates with me. It resonates as a marketing branding thing, and I've always struggled with that part of it. As we try to do different things, which we'll dive into, around traditional physical therapy versus modern physical therapy, maybe we'll call it. But I do want to check in before we dive deeper on Richard. Just had a move to Connecticut. He's coming in live from Connecticut, even though he has a clinic in Brooklyn. He takes about 72 trains between places, with all the transfers. And tying into my 5 pillars of health. All right. So we have movement, recovery, nutrition, connection, mindset. I'd love to have Richard share with us a little bit, as deep as he's willing to go, and being personal. How is your mindset today, sir?
Funny you should mention that, because it wasn't funny. I've been a little bit off today, sort of sluggish, thinking that I didn't complete enough, even though I looked at my list and everything's checked off. But I didn't feel like I had a schedule, or I was motivated to stay to that schedule. So my mindset, I was a little bit frustrated with myself.
Do you think that's because of the time change we just went through on on Sunday?
I've been on a roll for a few weeks, and I woke up this morning. I was laying in bed. I'm like, wow, what's wrong with me? I don't feel like doing what I plan to do. And I won't get deeply into horoscopes, but I do read my horoscopes, and we might get into the energies later. And it was reflecting.
You went in and out on my end there. I don't know if that was.
I'm back. The horoscope was going over my day, and It was basically saying that you're going to have this mental cerebral conflict with planning, with scheduling. Don't have a tantrum, which I just did like 20 minutes ago upstairs, because nothing was working with all my technology. I was throwing stuff around. But once I realized it was just the flow of the day, I went with the flow of the day, like a Pisces going with the tide. So I feel much better right now.
Awesome. So the mindset's good. Connection. How is your connection with other humans and or animals, and any other connections you have?
Good with nature, good with animals. I live in the woods right now. There's a pond right in back of me. I won't show you. So people, I'm sort of isolated, but it's okay, because I go back into the city and I have a chance to submerge myself with culture. So that's
overwhelmed.
Good. Overwhelmed. Nice balance.
Yes. So nutrition. What are you drinking there? Anything? Colorful beverage.
This is called my webinar podcast drink that I have when I want to relax because I had a stressful day. So I'll say there's cranberry juice, orange juice, and something else that I won't mention.
Is that Sex on the Beach? Is that what that is?
I had it once. It wasn't. I didn't like it. It was sand all over the place. It was gritty.
Boo.
So nutrition's good. Lots. Every day is better. Well, I was moving a lot of meals on the road and these pre-packed meals, but right now it's been more
consistency.
Consistent.
Yeah. How's your movement practice? We've talked about this for many years, and again, I meant to say this earlier when we introduced it, I was reflecting. I believe we've known each other for almost 20 years. This might be our 20-year anniversary of knowing each other. I believe it might have been 2002 that I got to intern at the clinic you were working at, where we got connected in Brooklyn. But yes, how is your movement practice?
House, river, woods. All I do all day is climb, hike, dig. It's been great. Every day I do something. I'm a big capoeira fan, big monkey training fan. So I'm always doing something. Movement practice is great. Feel wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, man.
And how's your squat? We worked on your squat many years ago. Is it getting
It's great. I don't load as much because all my weights are back in Brooklyn, but my biomechanics good, my hips are good depth.
And then the last pillar of the health that we will ask about is, how is your recovery in general? I see you drinking your happy drink there, and recovery overall, sleep, muscle soreness, body check-in, head to toe. How you feeling?
Still waking up sore, sleeping well. Nature is good. I wake up to birds and ducks, so I don't get disturbed by gunshots or people screaming and knocking on my window. Recovery's been good. I don't overdo it anymore for my age. I learned I can't go high intensity every day. Got to recover, have to rest. I mix things up a lot, work on the weak things. So recovery is good, man. I feel every day I feel rested.
Excellent. It's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
And this man knows a lot about. It's always the coach and the knowledge, and can we implement the knowledge and make it happen? So it's a beautiful thing to hear. Sounds like a lot of positive things. We had to put this podcast off because he was going through his move. We were going to do this a few weeks ago, and I of course said, yeah, dude, do what you got to do. And here we are when he's a little more settled and in a better routine. And cool. Let's shift over. I know, and again, we started talking a little bit. You checked out my Demand Better podcast, doing over with David Corona, personal trainer up in the Upper East Side. And those who haven't checked that out, please go check that out. Richard here got a chance to listen to our second episode, where we are trying to give you tools to demand better from your physical therapist. We are both therapists on here. We both moved a bit away from traditional, yes. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that episode. I'd love to encourage folks to go check that episode out as well. And let me throw it over to you, sir.
I think, one, it's a great video for the consumer because you differentiate between this modality, and this modality. I think it's smart. Even if you had a long version and a very short, condensed version. Oh, I didn't know that's what you did. I didn't think even the stats about, 50% get better from acupuncture, 50% get better chiropractic. That's important to have some sort of metric up there. But I also, even if it were 2 videos, the second part saying this is what a physical therapist does, and going a step higher, bragging what we do, because we're not traditionalists. We're not traditional physical therapists. This is what we do. Here's what a physical therapist does. Here's what we do. We're the next level or brand or evolution. Of physical. Yeah. So that's what I got out of the videos. It could be broken up into 2 different videos for the consumer, and also second for the consumer, but more of a specific promotional video for ourselves.
Yeah, and that's what we're going for, to provide value for the consumer on, again, we don't expect everyone to come see you or I, so those still in that physical therapy model, especially if you're going through insurance, just a lot of those kind of, whatever you want to call it, little trip ups that happen that we want to help avoid. So coming back to it, would love to ask you your definition of physical therapy. You can certainly repeat if you thought ours was valid on the podcast, on that episode. But how do you define physical therapist to the general population if asked on your many train rides in conversation?
I'm going to be totally honest. I think it depends upon the therapist, him or herself. I know what you're asking me. I cannot define it because you're a lot different than this physical therapist, and I don't want to give a generic definition. For me, I'm someone that watches and improves movement. That's my gross definition now. And as I get more, as I taper my title, I'll have a different definition. It's always changing.
Right. So movement expert, movement guru. I joke a little bit about that. I'm being a little cheeky. We have fun with our senses of humor between this guy and me, and it's always a little little fun. So if we do some of that, I'm going to call myself out on for the listener and the viewer here. But yeah, in terms of the joke there being you have a lot of these movement experts on Instagram, and we kind of we yeah, and we share a lot of stuff on social media and always checking on each other's. Because we like seeing, I think, our each other's evolutions, and we have a passion for improving people's movements and realizing that's the kind of key to a lot of other health related things. So I really like that simplicity of it. So I appreciate you sharing that. And that was kind of my second question: is how do you define what you do? I was trying to give you the first one of how do we define the general profession, but the other part of this that I'd love to touch on and get your recorded, official, documented answer to is again, based off of that episode a little bit, and as well as, again, conversations you and I have had over the years, what do you think is wrong with this profession that we're in of physical therapy, the generic brand, and do you see change coming on a global scale, or do you think it's going to be, again, guys like you and I just kind of finding those hybrid models that are going to have to kind of be the future?
I think one, new grads are being pressured by companies, so we are limited in our skills and we lose a lot of our original skills. It just happens. You don't sharpen the blade, it gets dull. I think once we go out on our own and we have a chance to do more, so a lot of us are lazy. We realize that if we just promote the right way, we can get the customers in. It doesn't matter what we do. I won't mention any clinics because I don't call people out, but I just see it happen. And they don't know their clients' names. They don't know their numbers. Is that in, out, in, out, in, out? And I think our future, for the ones that care and who want to put a little bit of work in and who understand there's a better way or more ethical, moral way, and I'm sorry if I'm on my soapbox and I'm preaching, to establish a viable company, have a profitable company, and also just be an integral part of the community as a real physical or physiotherapist. You don't have to be a jokester or a charlatan, but you have a skill. You went to school for it. Sharpen your skills, get better at it, and find your clientele. Do the work. It's really easy, and you know it. I know it. And one of my mantra lines is of course, I don't remember it right now, but paraphrasing, I won't give in to, I won't reach easily for profit or gain, and I also won't yell or get mad at the charlatans out there. I'll ignore them. I know they're there, and I also know how to be one of them and to pull the wool over and sell people on a product that doesn't work. But I think you and I, just because of our health consciousness, our sports background, and who depends upon us, I don't think we're ever going to fall down that road of just being as you said, cheeky salesman. Long answer.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking. I want you to go through that thought process and share it, and hopefully, again, folks out there get something out of it and can engage in this conversation. Every one of these episodes, I always hope, is just not just a conversation between me and the guests, and I call it Bono stuff for those familiar. It's so I can learn more stuff. It's to challenge these beliefs. And speaking of challenging my beliefs, I think it segues well into a little bit of a conversation we were having the other day of the metaphysical. And I'm a big skeptic on a lot of this stuff, and I'm very science based, and I'm out here in near Boulder, Colorado, which has a lot of that energy type healing, and I'm exploring and having conversations again with a lot of these, and I'm open to all the conversations and the science. And Richard here again, as long as I've known him, I would say we haven't touched deeply on a lot of these concepts, and having known you for almost 20 years now, it still comes as a little surprise to me based on some, we have these really rigid kind of evidence-based concepts, and then you throw horoscopes at me and I'm like, oh yeah, right, okay, cool. And so I guess the question I want to tee up here is, based on our conversation we had yesterday, I'd love for you to cue people in on where you stand on how this metaphysical type energies, where you stand on that. And again, I'm as skeptical as I am. I love talking and having the conversations and engaging in that. So I want to give you that platform to do so.
I never tried to prove the existence of a god or gods to an atheist. I'm not calling you an atheist. I'm saying metaphorically, if I know you don't believe in it until you see it or experience and see the research, I'm not going to have the conversation just because I know you. And that's good. You have to see it, but I'm not going to sit there and this is why, because it's not going to convince you until I can prove it to you physically or through the papers, through the what's out there. As far as what I believe in, just through experience, not just from what I see or hear, whether you want to call it therapeutic touch or moving energy or feeling people's energies, um, blocked chi or energy. And energy is just a term that most people don't understand it because it's hard to explain. It's like love. How do you explain love? You can't. But I witness it, I experience it, and I also use it to my advantage as far as treating people. If I feel, again, not sometimes I can talk to a person, start working on a person, start doing the manipulations, and it's not just the restriction of motion, but there's something that's blocking. Either there's too much heat, not enough heat, or I just feel like there's some sort of, I don't know, wedge between my hand and their skin versus another part in the body. And they say, what do you feel there? They know I'm actually feeling something. And a lot of people have said this. Other people can do it. Other people can practice this. But it definitely, there's something out there. I'm like, there's something out there, Scully or Mulder, whatever, X-Files. that
Yeah.
it's undeniably there because I can't pass it up. I can't ignore it when I'm treating someone and something doesn't feel right when I pass my hand over the body or I see them move, I see their movement, and it correlates to something that I feel off on their shoulder.
Yeah. I can't disagree with anything you said. That is your experience, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. Yeah, for going off of that though, I mean, are there other modalities or explorations, again, that you strongly believe in, or you think should be somehow studied further to maybe get incorporated or integrated back into more conventional medicine? Again, acupuncture is based on this concept of energy flow, chi, blockages, and again, from a research perspective, acupuncture, again, we look at outcomes, and this is kind of where my brain is of, we can't quite prove that, and it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but is there something like that within your exploration of these, we'll call it alternative medicines, which is how it was presented in my physical therapy. It was, I mean, that's what it was in my physical therapy school. It was CAM, complementary and alternative medicine, CAM, and it was included acupuncture among one of the many modalities that we explored, moxibustion, different fun stuff like that. So yeah, I guess is there anything you think that should be more integrated?
Using the term Ayurveda, or everyone has a different way, different receptors, different food, heat, cold. They give up there. Some people are more hot, some people are more acidic. There are a lot of modalities out there, but I wouldn't acupuncture, if you want to call Tai Chi, if you want to call moxibustion, olfactory, I forget the term, using scents in the aromatherapy.
Yeah.
Just as if some people are more susceptible to alcohol. I can't be around alcohol because I'm an alcoholic. I think we need to explore certain ones that are out there that have been proven. But I would never prescribe, go use this because go see this practitioner because it works. I'd say we have to find out what works for Bo. Some people will do great with acupuncture. It's not just the buy-in. I believe that certain people have certain, again, receptors are more sensitive to certain modalities, whether it's visual, whether it's chemical, whether it's olfactory, whether it's taste, whether it's manual therapy. Some people have to have a combination. So I can't. My list would go on, but I am a firm believer in acupuncture. I think it should be studied more.
I mean, it's been going on for 5,000 years. I feel like we have, but yeah, in terms of the mechanisms going on there, I feel like there's a decent amount of study that's happened, and unfortunately, again, generally and that's not to say it's completely useless, like you're saying. That's the part where I'm coming back with the science side. Is the research has pretty strongly shown that acupuncture, Like it's weak. The support for acupuncture is just weak, which is why it's still a complementary and alternative medicine in our very evidence-based system.
Sorry to interrupt. The word is complementary.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Acupuncture 50-50, but if you have a combination, let's try acupuncture with physical therapy. Let's try with this. I bet you will find a certain build an algorithm. It's going to work with this Yeah, you got
it. I'm with you on that. That's why I just wanted to challenge the wording a little bit around again. So like I've just recently been able to start doing dry needling because of political nonsense in previously practicing in New York where Richard practices, and then California, two of the only states where dry needling is not allowed to be done by physical therapists. Dry needling is an alternative. It is acupuncture. You're literally puncturing the skin with a needle, and acu is the the prefix there. So again, I believe in it, and I think it has its place. And for me, and this is something that doesn't really get researched in my observations the right way, is I'm gonna inject the needle. I'm gonna insert it based on the way it's been taught, the way I believe it's going to help, and then I need to make sure that fits into our my little paradigm of in 30 minutes I can help you feel better, move better, right? Which it does have some effect, and then we need to put a plan in place for the next 30 days. That's where we made your neck pain a little bit better, and we can move you into the next, and now we can make sure something in that integrates, the brain learns, that we can then take that to the next 30 years. So that's where, again, I don't think relying on chiropractic, acupuncture, any of these things, where even physical therapy, where it's saying like, you need to come back to me to help fix anytime your body breaks, like a car mechanic. Like I want you to be empowered. So that's my kind of pushback, and you're taking notes, so I'll let you go.
The term follow-up is follow-up with clinicians is shitty. It's like a mechanic or whatever. No one calls the next day, how are you doing? I do that. I'm sure you do that. And there's a system called, I think it's called a value-based system. It's when the customer goes in and I have this problem. Okay, we have this on our team. It's not a money-making team, but I think you will benefit from 3 sessions with this acupuncture. Go speak to her. The acupuncturist may say, just go with us, or they may say, go get some manips. They may say, go to this massage. I'm saying there's a team. They're not trying to steal clients. They're working as a team, which saves you money. It's efficient. It's fast. It's effective because you're getting what you need, which equals value. That's a value-based system. So I'm angry that and I wrote a blog about this maybe 3 years ago, how all physical therapists battle. We don't share.
There's a scarcity mindset. Scarcity.
Yeah, there's not enough people in New York to keep my clinic open. What are you, stupid? Oh, you're throwing a big. So I'm hoping that this conversation opens things up, because if you are skilled at what you do, there should be no threat if I'm sending you someone and you can send someone back, or me seeing your client. What's wrong with that? So I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but it made me sort of angry.
Which part made you angry?
Just thinking how if you see a clinician, that clinician will not refer you out to someone else, thinking they're going to lose that client. You didn't actually say that, but
right. You kind of went off the term complementary, I guess. That's where that came from, and so right, and that's where for me it comes back to what is useful and who is worth referring to. If I meet a good dentist, I'm going to refer you to that, because I know, partly because you're alluding to that scarcity concept. Yeah, but at the same time, if I think that things can be useful for your body, there is a chiropractor out here that I refer to that I know he's doing very specific manipulations on the cervical spine, and he's studied that. He's very specific in that. I've had him on my podcast previously, and he's someone I will refer to, because I'm like, it seems like we really need to dig a little deeper in there. And again, that's where there's that dynamic relationship, because I'm also trying to strengthen muscles in that cervical spine, and he's able to do the x-rays and work in that regard to then see, again, are we moving in the right direction with XYZ between the muscle, between the manipulation. And again, he's specialized in that. And this is something, I again, and I don't know how you feel, but we've had, again, known each other for so long through the physical therapy practice. You knew me as a student, and as I explored a lot of these continuing education courses, and again, there's this thing for those listening in the physical therapy space. So if you're in the physical therapy space, I would love to hear also, of your right hip is a little shorter than your left hip, or there's an upslip, and is it your right, side that's up and then your left is down, or do we need to balance that out? And you go deep into these rabbit holes, and there's a lot of systems taught around this versus where I'd say shifted to of not going and just never appealed to me, just like a lot of these alternative medicines still haven't quite gotten over that threshold for me to say I want to integrate this one way or another, or I'm just going to defer to whoever it is down the street that I really like how they operate. So I do think there's value in that. So that's the thing for me. I'm still struggling to see the value in Reiki or herbal medicines and Chinese herbal medicines and these different practitioners. And again, I'm trying to have conversations as best I can with and to understand and to see where they fit in, and if they're offering a genuine ability to attempt certain things. Where again, somebody speaking of cervical situations, there was somebody who just had cervical surgery here as our dog walker, and again, in terms of, is there something for pain relief that I can refer her to, and there might be somebody in that kind of alternative space that I wouldn't directly go to, so there's definitely something there. But yeah, go ahead.
Because of what you do and what you're trying to do with your practice, you are now an alternative physical therapist or physiotherapist.
Sure.
Because you're different, and
yeah,
in a way that's good, because there's a negative stigma with, you said on the last webinar, what we do as therapists. So it's not a bad thing to break away from this generic pack.
right.
As far as the other alternative medicines, I would definitely say keep your be open.
Yeah.
Be open, not just to find out what they do if they work, but it's, I don't know how to say this. If you don't believe it, you're not going to refer people to them. But what we do is we keep a 5-star network. We have a list, and we ask our clients, who do you go to for acupuncture or this or this? And I talk to them, and my office manager quits. She's a badass. She'll go online and look at their online reviews, check them out, sometimes call the office. So, and then they'll go on my list. So I know that they're great customer service, great on the phone, great with what they do. But again, I wouldn't try to, I'm not trying to convince you that they work, but I don't give up on them. Just from what I've seen and experienced and
I don't know if
used.
anything I said would imply that I would.
No.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm open to it, and I just want to keep those conversations going around, again, what's valuable and what can we take away? And obviously, the current medical system is not solving the problems that we have. There's a lot wrong with the current traditional or primary medical system. So I'm always open to anything alternative to that, whether it's the breathing practice, meditation, yoga, Pilates, all these different systems, but then being able to identify which of those things can I take in myself and attempt and see if I can get something out of it personally, as well as in terms of other practitioners, how do they practice? Does that work with what I do? Again, I don't want to pick on any one practitioner, although I guess we're gonna. Like homeopathic medicine is something, again, I'm very skeptical of. But there's obviously some benefit from it. So that's the difficult part for me from a scientific evidence-based standpoint. And the skeptical side, again, is and they have warnings on the bottle. There's a guy at TED Talk, I forgot his name, but he kind of calls out, some of these psychics and some of the he specifically speaks about a homeopathic remedy, because they, the whole my quick summation of homeopathy is you take a significantly minute dose of something that's supposed to be, whether it's 1/1000th of an aspirin or something like that, and then you're just starting that healing process by introducing that into the body. So and it says do not take however many of these, and the guy in the video as an example he's like, I took 1,000 of those pills. Should I die now? What's happening? If there's truly that much medicine in it, where's the connection? So again, I don't know. It's hard for me to definitely disconnect. And again, same thing. You brought up religion, you brought up, these different concepts of it's not for everybody. But again, it serves a purpose. So, you know, if religion as a very extreme example can be used to make people live a much better life and give them a set of values, and that's awesome and that's phenomenal, and I wish that that's the case. Or it can be used to, you know, murder people over. So it can be used either way, and again, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing.
You bring up religion and spirituality because of my culture, my background, my ancestors. There's no separation between our spirituality and religion, and they're one and the same, and they're so that's medicine. So again, with the metaphysics or the holistic, that's also why I have a strong belief, because I use it. My parents, my grandparents, and I'm not going to go into the specific rituals, but there are rituals and things that have been passed down from home. The other thing is, as far as that, the I'm going back to the complementary services. Is a group called Physiologic, and I'm not calling them out. I'm not calling them out, but they had the concept of having one roof, umbrella, chiropractor, acupuncture, physical therapist, other doctors. I've had clients who've come over from there, and usually I'm sorry, I'm not getting. This is what the clients have said. It's a
Mill.
yeah, it's a mill. They get you
Yeah.
in and they sign you up for all these things, and you're paying. Whether they take insurance or it's cash based, they're making a lot of money because they can charge for each one of these services. Too bad, because it's a great concept. And I've seen a lot of clinicians try this, but something goes wrong, whether it's jealousy, they all don't see, or that value based practice, they don't share. They're more trying to, what can I take out of the barrel?
Right.
I'm done. That's all.
And yeah, that's
Cheers.
something. Yeah, no, for sure, and I totally understand that, and I think it's important to acknowledge those limitations, whether it's from practitioners or that's where again the Demand Better podcast, where I'm sure we'll touch at some point one of our episodes on acupuncturists or some kind of alternative medicines, where we want to always explore those concepts. And one of the inspirations for that show, I don't know if you remember, Penn and Teller had a show on Showtime called BS Bullshit. And they would again be a little bit more extreme, I would say, in the way that they would look at things, and they would do an entire episode of calling. They did an episode on chiropractic, calling out chiropractic quackery and some of the problems with it. You know, there was episodes about aliens, and there was even one about recycling. I was just a big fan of the concept and their exploration and their view on that. So the same way, I mean, again, I would never say I'm completely against any one thing. I'm always open to it, you know. But when people are specifically trying to push their pH water to me, and that's the first thing they're doing, it kind of turns me off from having a conversation with that person about. To your point again about that setup, is the patient really being served the best? Because it could be, if they're saying, oh well, like there's some stuff going on with your shoulder, you have pain in your shoulder. We have this person to work on your breathing. We have this person to work on your postural restoration. We have this person to work on massaging. We have this person for, you know, like, and this is how it all fits in. Not just we're going to bill insurance on all these different things. And ultimately coming back to, are you the patient? Is that shoulder pain getting better? Are you getting better? Are you getting healthier? Do we have a vision? Do we have a combined shared vision? And this is where, again, these explorations are fascinating to me. And again, the hopes at the end of the day are to educate the consumer, to come up with a system that works for everybody. So if somebody comes to me and they tell me they're working with somebody and they're on homeopathic medication, I need to know how that fits in and where their values are. And maybe I'm not the perfect person to work with them, which is okay. Or there's a way we can discuss that and put the pieces in place of saying, okay, this fits into that side of the healing process. And then there's another component that I want to make sure we're still moving correctly. We're still recovering correctly. We're doing all these other things that I think are, at least if you're not on board with my healing plan, my treatment plan, then we should not be working together, and you should not be paying me money to to facilitate your healing. So you know, that's where the business side super interesting. And again, like at the end of the day, I really appreciate you willing to have these conversations, because they can certainly get a little you know, we want to avoid the traps and possibly offending anybody. And I think
What
you've done a good job so far. I don't know if I
what
have.
do you do? What do you do? Someone comes into your office and they are a firm believer in their let's pick a modality you don't fully trust, or you haven't seen the research for whatever you want. Do you, if it's helping them or if they have the buy-in, I'm not telling you asking, do you sell your soul, but do you say, yeah, okay, that's great, that's working for you? Do you try to communicate with that clinician? Or do you just say, you know what, I don't believe in that, which is going to almost, well, often truncate that relationship between you and that, you and that client. So
Right.
do you just keep it to yourself? Do you ask them if it's help? How do you deal with something that doesn't resonate with you?
I try to be as honest as possible, and again, that might be to my detriment at times throughout my career. And there is something called placebo and nocebo. And again, I know you're familiar with it, but the power of me saying, hey, like I've looked at the research, and that does not do anything for you, like based on the research. Which the research, again, we can certainly criticize and say, there might not have ever been research on a 50-year-old woman going through menopause and trying to be a high level athlete, and like that fits into your box. So I can't say that everything you've tried is not working, but we can look at the results and say, where are the pieces missing, and what can I do to fill in those pieces? So here's what I offer. At the end of the day, I can just say what I offer. And you know what, like, again, if you have acupuncture going for you, you have moxibustion, you have all these other things going on, I am not going to say, hey, you're wasting your time, pay me instead of paying them. This is what I offer. If you want to try that, let's try that. Let's see. And this is how I measure my outcomes. And if there's some way we can have that conversation, again, it comes back to what's important to you, person in front of me, whether it's, again, being more active, getting out of pain, being able to play with your kids, thinking long term, looking at your whatever those things are. If I can help you with that, here's my skill set. It's not my place to say, if you're asking me directly, what do I think of that practitioner based on what I know? Here's what I know. I certainly am a New Yorker, as you and I are, and so I blame my New Yorkness to some extent, or I will use that as an excuse of why and how I am pretty forthcoming, and I believe in that honesty. And again, that just I think in the long term is going to help our relationship of, yeah, like I'm not here to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not here to if you need that, we can certainly find you a practitioner for that. So, I appreciate you putting me on trial here, as I feel, but
That's what I
but
do.
yeah. And again, like I'm happy to put this out into the ether, because that's I love this, as most people can tell. I love this whole study. I love this concept. I'm always open to new things and learning more, and I'm happy to share what I know, where I'm coming from, and I try to phrase it, and that's something I guess I've always had to continue to re-evolve, revolutionize, is how I present that, what I know, or what I think I know. And that's that Dunning-Kruger effect of, like, as soon as I'm coming out of school, like, pretty much ultrasound is useless. but the research shows that. I go into practice, I see that people are used to it at the end of the session. Is it making a clinical impact? Is it providing some kind of psychological benefit? I don't know. And then if somebody's saying, hey, yeah, I went to this clinic and they were doing ultrasound and they did that for 30 minutes and I got better. Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to log that in somewhere and into my brain. But for me, I still want to explore why, how, and that's just the way my brain works. One of the books I had that very early on as a kid, I think we might have spoken about it at some point, is How Things Work. Pretty famous book, and it's just it's within my nature to try to understand and be able to have an explanation for it. So if people are telling me what it is they do, I definitely want to explore and understand. And if it's working for you, awesome. Like, and I want to be able to put that into my my evidence-based model.
Excuse me, sir. I see you mining over there for gold. How does that non-electric water pump work? Well, it works on pressure. Pressure, my friend.
I don't know if that was a reference, but
no, it's just something. I'm in Connecticut in the woods, so I have to learn all these new tools and mechanisms, and I learned how to hook up a non-electric pump. It's very cool.
Awesome. I don't. Was that something you didn't believe in? Is that the connection back?
No, I've never had. I have a running stream river
right
next to my yard that comes from the reservoir, and I tested the water, It's pure. It's like pure cocaine. So because of it's running downhill, I can use it. Even if I didn't, because it's right on my land, I can put a pump there and use it as an irrigation system and save on all this water. And I also have a pond in the backyard, so I can have rain barrels and fill them with water. And there you go. Free water.
Fancy human, my friend. Fancy.
I want to be fancier, much fancier.
Yeah. How would you deal with that situation if someone comes to you, since you put it on me and I was on the hot seat? I'm going to throw you back on the hot seat. How would you deal with that same situation then? Is there something I can learn from your much more years of experience? He's much older than me, folks. Much older.
I am at least 30. First priority is to protect the client. So is it working for you? What are you doing? What are they doing to you? Can I speak to them? Would they be willing to speak with me? Communication between clinicians. If they're not willing to speak to me, then what's going on? And I'll tell the client, why don't they want to speak to your physical therapist?
There you go.
If I think it's something really, it's going to hurt them, or it's going to interfere with their healing or their movement or their evolution, I'll let them know my thoughts. I'll send them the research or the paperwork, or the YouTube. The research or the documentation through email. I'll have to often prove it to them during the evaluation, the screening, the diagnostics, the manual therapy. This is what's going to help you feel better, move better, heal better, throw whatever. You can do that if you'd like the other treatment, but it may hamper what we did today. So it's are we helping them? Are they helping them? And just educating them as much as possible. They're adults. All my clients are adults, so they have to make the ultimate decision. I'll give them I'll lead them to the water, but they have to drink it. Like Jones, not Jesus Jones from the 80s. Poison.
I'm not getting your reference, man.
The guru who had all his cult, famous cult leader. Had all
yeah.
John Jones?
John Jones? That sounds right.
Oh, yeah. Because Jesus Jones was a singer from the 80s and the 90s.
Yes. But Jesus led people to water, and I see some confusions and parallels. All right, I got your answer, but I will bring it back to the fact that tangential. There's a podcast I have listened to called Tangentially Speaking, which goes for us. But I did notice in your response, you said you refer to yourself as a physical therapist, and that's something again, you kind of defined yourself as that, and so that goes back to that interesting part to me, bringing it way back, circling back, full send of calling ourselves a physical therapist when it's convenient, but to some extent, and
sure.
and versus again being a practitioner, and because again you're not saying why don't they want to speak to your, and this is where it gets into tricky stuff, because if they're working with a personal trainer, right? So this is where I'll push back to you. The way you defined it, you're helping people move and feel better, and move and improve their movement, right? So if they're working with a personal trainer, is that something? How do you deal with that kind of clash?
I talk to them. I talk to the personal trainer. I ask and I speak to them, and I said, "This is the protocol. Can you implement this in their training?" And usually they're ecstatic because we're sharing information, they're learning. And no offense, the personal trainers with whom I speak to, what kind of grammar is that? Personal trainers
sounds proper.
They're some are limited with what they know as far as rehab. So once I give them knowledge, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that. Great, I can use that on my other clients." And I also ask them, "What do you use? What's the latest?" So we're sharing information. So it usually goes well. It goes well, and the clients love it because it saves them money. They don't have to pay me as much. They don't see me as much, and they work it into the training so they know they're being really efficient with their training and not just glossing over issues.
Awesome, man. I love it. I love it. Sounds very much like the way I try to work with personal trainers in similar situation. Awesome. We covered a lot of fun stuff, man. I don't know if there's specific other things you wanted to wrap up from. It's all out of the happy juice. Anything else you want to cover from the metaphysics, the alternative, the complementary, or just the physical therapy profession before we wrap it up?
Yeah, have that stuff in your toolbox and know when to use it.
There you go.
Certain people will be open to it, some people won't, and some people it'll work upon, some people it will not. So just know about it,
Awesome. Tell folks where they can find you.
Currently, they can find us at Move Evolution Physical Therapy, 87 Fort Greene Place in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. We're right by the Barclay Atlantic Center. I'm not the only therapist. I have two other, looking to hire a third, maybe if she works out. Yeah, that's how you can find us. 718-522-2658 or moveevolution.com. And the Move and the E share the same. The Move and the Evolution share the same E. They share.
Move Evolution.
Move Evolution. Yeah, I should have thought that. It was
Move Evolution.
Impulsive URL.
Evolution. Okay. But yes, we'll have it somewhere in the show notes.
Thank
I believe.
you.
Not hard to do. Thank you, sir, for joining me. I hope someone got 1% better from listening to this. Again, guys, if you checked it out and you disagreed, you agreed, leave a comment. Let's engage in some conversation. That's the idea here. There's nuance in a lot of this stuff that gets lost when people just want to harp on one part of any of these answers or questions. So we'd love to dive deeper. And again, I'm sure Richard and I will speak many more times over the next few weeks and months.
The king of the non sequiturs.
Yes. And I still consider this man one of my best buds. I wish we were geographically closer to hang out a little bit more, but and also one of the few clinicians who I have let and trust enough to have let, and I refer to have to do manual work on my body. So if that's not a ringing endorsement, and I don't know what is, but go find the man and let him beat you up. It's good for your soul.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
So we'll wrap it up there, guys. Hope you have a great day. I hope you got 1% better, and